Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode we're going to be checking out a piece by the established multidisciplinary artist known as Will Toulan. This episode we're going to be talking about this cosmic canopy, we're going to talk about the impact of grand scale, and we're also going to talk about the divine destinations of the highest order. So let's jump right into it. So whenever we first see this work, we're really met with a grand scene here. We see our subject is kind of a mountain here, really casting an ascendant beam of light straight into the heavens. Your first impression here is likely one of awe and wonder as we just stand struck by the incredible scene before us. And so, our subject as a mountain really acts as a sturdy yet striking base here. Of course, you have that foundation in the lower region of the spatial composition. So what you'll see here also this background, of course, it has a little bit of light within it, but overall it is quite dark. So that really is the perfect neutral backing for our subject, kind of accent itself to the highest degree possible. And so what's likely going to first draw your eye is this really ascendant beam of light in the spatial composition, right? It just divides the composition into two main regions, and of course this vertical axis, you're not going to miss it here. And so this also gives a sense of rhythm here. Of course, you have divided into two. There is a lot more space in here, a little bit less of a space here, but it does kind of follow the rule of thirds in that impression, if y'all know what I mean. And so we see this analogous color scheme. It really works together quite nicely, right? You have this kind of bluish green and then a little bit of hint of gold as well. So all in all, those are working together quite harmoniously. So it does give a sense of balance to the work at hand. Also gives us a little bit of divine harmony with the work at hand as well. Of course, we're looking at these sacred themes. There's no doubt about that. And so, what you'll also see is this impact of color, right? You have, of course, this incredibly striking beam of light, but you have a little bit of accent of gold as well. So the gold is going to draw the eye. Of course, you have most of the visual energy within the work is going to be concentrated around here, but there is a little bit of here as well. So that's all important to note. So there is no doubt that light really drives the work at hand, right? Of course, we talked about this. It's really going to catch your eye. You're not going to miss it. It feels quite sacred in that impression as well. Whenever we see an intense light, whether it's a gold light or whether it's this kind of bright white light, it's almost always going to give a spirituality, a sense of the sacred, or a sense of the divine as well. All very important when we're looking at this work. And so what you'll also notice, of course, we have this grand sense of scale. If this is a mountain of sorts, we are just dwarfed by the grand scene before us. And a sense of scale is almost always convey the divine, right? If you're going to stand in a cathedral, you're going to be dwarfed by that. If you're standing, under a sacred mountain, it's just going to look massive. And so whether it's architecture or even the divine natural world, there's so many different ways that we try to convey the sacred. I think that's incredibly important here. And so what you'll notice is we see this background as some type of like cosmic canopy. And what I mean by that, of course, you have these what appear to be interlaying stars kind of constantly going throughout the work at hand. But aside from that, they look like these almost like tree brushes, if you will. And so when I harked back to that, it feels like a divine natural world. Of course, you have the mountain. It is part of the natural world. You have that massive beam of light. But aside from that, you have the golden light, which just melts into this kind of brush. So all in all, very sacred when we're looking at the work at hand. And so it feels like we finally arrived at this kind of divine destination, right? If you, climb the mountain, if you go through the driest of deserts, if you go through the relentless Arctic, maybe you finally reach a destination such as this. And you could draw a bit of metaphors from that, right? One of the metaphors you could draw, of course, you go through the dark times of life, the challenging times of life, but finally you reach the mountain, whether it's your highest goals, your highest ideal, or kind of a sense of personal transformation. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of tackle the work at hand here. And so with this in mind, where do you think we are? What do you see when you view this piece, and how do you feel when you view this piece? All very important questions when we're looking at this work. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the original prompt here. I don't have the original one, but we're going to talk a little bit about the inspiration that went into the work at hand. So I think that's really important. Actually, it's quite surprising. It was an Art Nouveau artist that had a little bit of inspiration in the prompt here. So I'm going to jump into that real quick, and then we're going to head out of here. So I brought a few works here, as well as the name of the artist, kind of went into the inspiration of creating the work at hand. A quick reminder, this was created by Will Toulan, so this is an AI Generative piece, created it in Midjourney. But when I was looking at kind of the title of the work at hand, I saw an artist that I hadn't heard before. That's going to be Alphonse Mucha, and Mucha is actually a Czech artist who lived in and gave a lot of really important contributions to the Art Nouveau movement. So, for example, the Art Nouveau posters normally incorporates, heavy natural themes, as well as a lot of kind of feminine themes as well, a lot of light themes, and we see that within the work at hand, often using pastel colors as well. Of course, it is a lot older style, so they're not going to have these really vibrant colors, but we do see that within the work at hand here. Quite a nice poster there. What I also saw mentioned, I believe, is going to be the Epic of is going to be the Slav epic, and I believe that was also from the original artist as well. So I brought that up there. Y'all can look at that, kind of looking a bit deeper if y'all are interested in that. And aside from that, I was looking at some of Mucha's works, and I looked at this piece. This kind of reminds me the most of kind of the themes that we get here, whether it's that blue, green, a little bit of kind of gold and orange as well. I kind of saw some inspiration there. So this artist, a bit of influence definitely went into the work at hand. So blessing to be able to study that. And if y'all want to look at the original artist, of course, I love Art Nouveau. So if y'all like that piece, jump in a bit deeper and look at that original artist there in the top right. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed today. So like I said, this was an AI generative work created by Will Toulan. It's actually created in Midjourney, so many different opportunities there, really powerful as well as accessible as well. So if y'all want to get into AI generative art, I would certainly suggest Midjourney. If y'all enjoyed today's piece, go check out the original artist Will Toulan, always doing some really good stuff in multiple different mediums, from 3D art all the way to AI generative art suggested for us today. So I hope y'all enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.